For many long years, Brazil was a colony of Portugal. In 1500, Portuguese ships led by Pedro Álvares Cabral arrived. They found a new land, vast and green, rich with Brazil wood. This wood gave the land its name, Brazil, producing a deep red dye. Portugal soon wanted more, starting huge sugarcane farms. These plantations, known as engenhos, needed many hands. Indigenous people were forced into labor, later replaced by millions of enslaved Africans. Their hard work built Brazil's colonial economy. In the late 17th century, gold was discovered in Minas Gerais. A gold rush began, followed by diamond discoveries. New towns like Ouro Preto sprang up, bustling with activity. But all this wealth flowed mainly to Portugal, which kept a tight grip on Brazil. High taxes and strict laws ensured most profits went to the Portuguese crown. Many people born in Brazil, the criollos, felt this was unfair. They started to feel more Brazilian than Portuguese. A quiet unhappiness began to simmer and grow. They longed for more control over their own land. These feelings were the first seeds of change. The promise of riches changed the colony once more, but all this wealth flowed mainly to Portugal. New ideas began to travel across the ocean. News of the American Revolution reached Brazil, inspiring thoughts of liberty. In 1807, Napoleon invaded Portugal, forcing the royal family to escape. Dom João VI moved his entire court to Brazil, making Rio de Janeiro the heart of the Portuguese Empire. This event changed how Brazilians saw themselves. Dom João's son, Prince Pedro, grew up in Brazil and loved the land deeply. In 1821, Dom João VI returned to Portugal, leaving Pedro as regent. Several important people guided Prince Pedro, including José Bonifácio de Andrada e Silva, a learned scientist and statesman. Bonifácio strongly supported the idea of a Brazilian nation. Another key figure was Pedro's wife, Princess Maria Leopoldina, an intelligent Austrian archduchess. She understood the desire for independence and encouraged Pedro to listen to the Brazilians. The desire for freedom was slowly taking root. A big change came in an unexpected way. In 1807, the French Emperor Napoleon invaded Portugal. The Portuguese royal family had to escape. Dom João VI, the Prince Regent, made a bold decision. He moved his entire court across the Atlantic Ocean. They sailed to Brazil, a journey of many weeks. Rio de Janeiro suddenly became the heart of the Portuguese Empire. Brazil was no longer just a distant colony. Back in Portugal, the Parliament, the Cortes, wanted to regain full control over Brazil. They issued orders for Prince Pedro to return to Lisbon, angering many Brazilians. Pressure mounted on Pedro to make a stand. While Pedro was in São Paulo, Princess Maria Leopoldina acted as regent in Rio de Janeiro. She received new, stricter demands from the Cortes and knew a critical moment had arrived. On September 2, 1822, she signed a decree declaring Brazil's separation from Portugal. She sent urgent letters to Pedro, who received them on September 7, 1822, by the Ipiranga River. Stirred by the news, he ripped the Portuguese colors from his uniform and drew his sword. He uttered the famous words, "Independencia ou morte," independence or death. This historic moment is known as the Cry of Ipiranga. But independence was not yet fully won. Some Portuguese military garrisons remained loyal to Portugal. A war for independence had to be fought. This conflict spread to several regions. The fight for freedom had truly begun. The Cry of Ipiranga was a bold declaration. It was a clear signal of Brazil's intent. The Brazilian War of Independence lasted from 1822 until early 1824. Fighting took place in provinces like Bahia, Para, Maranhão, and Cisplatina. Brazilian forces, often volunteers, fought bravely. A key figure was Lord Cochrane, a skilled British naval commander. After the fighting ended, diplomacy took center stage. Brazil needed other countries to recognize its independence, especially Portugal. Great Britain mediated between the two. In August 1825, a treaty was signed, and Portugal recognized Brazil as an independent nation. However, this recognition came at a price. Brazil had to pay a large sum of money to Portugal. Prince Pedro was acclaimed Dom Pedro I, the first emperor of Brazil. Unlike its Spanish-speaking neighbors, Brazil became the Empire of Brazil, a constitutional monarchy. Dom Pedro I was its emperor, a unique figure in the Americas. One major success was unity. Brazil remained one country. However, the new empire faced many old problems. Independence allowed Brazil to begin forging its own destiny, but it did not solve all issues. Slavery continued until 1888. Deep social inequalities remained a challenge. The break from Portugal in 1822 was essential. It marked the birth of a new, independent nation. It shaped Brazil's unique identity and its journey forward.